Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our final day of our To Live to Cure Wellness Weekend. It's been awesome, and we've had so much great instruction and guidance this weekend for just bringing wellness to our minds, bodies, and spirit. And this morning session is all about that. So we're going to combine some of those and do a little body and spirit, maybe mind as well. So we're really thankful to have Stephanie Adams-Ruff here today from Flow Yoga. I'm going to let her introduce herself and tell you a little bit about why she's here and about the class we're about to experience. So take it away, Stephanie.
Thank you so much. So I have been practicing yoga for about 25 years and teaching for about 20, and have found through all of the ups and downs of my life, yoga to be a really powerful practice. And I think a lot of people think of yoga as physical movement, but in the true tradition of yoga, physical movement is just a small part of yoga. And what yoga really is yoga is a practice of presence and clarity. So this is a meditation practice, but this is yoga. So we won't be doing any asana. We won't be moving our bodies much. We're going to start seated. We're going to go to lying at one point to do a little bit of a visualization meditation. And then we're going to come back to seated. And if you have any questions, I'm available for that. I mentioned a little bit earlier, I did write a book on cancer and yoga for Cancer Exercise Training Institute. So if you do have questions about yoga and cancer, you can ask me about those at the end of our time. And I can talk to you about some of there are just amazing benefits, not just if we're in the place where we are living with cancer, but also in our daily lives, and especially at a time like now, where a lot of us are dealing with stress or anxiety or uncertainty. Yoga has been an incredibly grounding practice for me, and dealing with the ups and downs of owning a small business and having a family and all of what's happening for all of us. So I am always privileged and honored to share these very simple techniques that you can use anytime in your life, and some of the science behind them as well. So one thing I want to mention before we get into the meditation is that you don't have to sit on a cushion for 20 minutes to get the benefits of meditation. Now, the more you practice anything, the more you're going to get that benefit. But every time you remember these simple techniques that we're going to learn, even if you can practice them for 1 minute, you are going to reduce or eliminate the physiological symptoms of stress. And as you know, stress can contribute to more challenge in terms of healing. So it's really important that we remember, and that's the hard part sometimes, is like we're wrapped up in our pattern, or something's triggering us that is bringing us into that spiral that's focusing on the future or the past, and we forget about the now. Like, how am I really right now? What is reality? And how am I truly feeling in my whole body, mind, heart right now? And to honor and acknowledge your feelings without letting your feelings take you into a spiral that is unhealthy for us, right? And not always grounded in reality. It's future thinking or past thinking. And yoga is, the first Yoga Sutra says, yoga occurs in the now. Now the exposition of yoga occurs. So when we practice presence, we experience peace. Unless we are literally in that moment fighting for our lives, or unless we're literally in that moment feeling a fight or flight reaction that's real and related to our current state of safety, we can realize that right now there may not truly be a problem right now. So allowing ourselves to be present. So we're going to practice a presence meditation, and then our visualization will be focused on presence as well. And honoring ourselves and all of our feelings is really important. So by saying, oh, just be present, right? That, or just breathe when you have all of these feelings happening, that doesn't work either, because what we resist persists. But taking a step back from our feelings and watching them and noticing them with loving kindness, and really not even allowing ourselves to be victims of judgment, self-judgment, and really just loving ourselves through awareness and acceptance of all that we have to feel. So this very simple yoga technique, there's 4 simple things we're going to practice. And I'd like you to now come to a place where you are in a seat that feels comfortable, where you feel a sense of being rooted to the earth through your sitting bones, and you feel a sense of rising toward the sky with the crown of your head or the roof of your mouth. And then once you're there, you have a choice to place your hands wherever you like. And then to find a focal point if your eyes are open, or to close your eyes. So you get to choose. Know that everything we practice this morning is choice. Everything is your choice. The very first thing we're going to focus on, this is one of our first of our 4 techniques, is to feel ourselves grounded. To feel your sitting bones rooted toward the earth. To feel the embrace of Mother Earth's gravity. To feel seated and rooted on the earth in the exact space you are right now, in this body, this breath, this moment. Feel a sense of your whole physical self here now. So our first step is to root, to feel rooted, to feel grounded, to feel presence in your body. From that place of feeling grounded, the second thing we're going to focus on is a sense of rising. Rising from the root, the pelvic floor, to the crown, the top of your head. And with that sense of physical rising, we feel a light energy of empowerment with presence. A light sense of active energy with that rooted, grounded energy. So we're rooting, we're rising. The third technique is to soften. Where do you feel tension in your body? Consciously soften that area. If it's your throat, soften there. If it's your shoulders, your belly, around your heart, your lungs, wherever you might feel tension, send a healing message from your mind to that area to soften, to relax, to release, to send loving energy. And then the fourth technique is to simply focus on your breath. And as you focus on your breath, let your exhale be your primary focus. So I know a lot of times when we breathe or instructed to breathe, we focus on starting with the inhale. I'd like you today to focus on starting with the exhale. So take a long exhale out and let your inhale naturally come in. This is good for recalibrating the nervous system. Long, relaxing exhale. Relax, natural inhale. So continue to breathe in a balanced way, focusing on your exhale. So we're rooting, rising, softening, and breathing. Notice how your exhale reminds you to soften and to ground. Notice how your inhale reminds you to rise. How the exhale relaxes, grounds. Now the inhale empowers, reminds you of your inherent strength, your presence. And continue to practice that breathing meditation. As you settle into the rhythm of your breath, we're going to go on a bit of a journey. And on this journey, you can choose to lie down or to stay seated. So you can stay exactly as you are, or you can lie down now. And now I'd like you to imagine that you are in the middle of an extraordinarily beautiful mountain meadow. Behind you, Mount Hood stands brilliantly beautiful. In front of you, a deep green forest. All around you, wildflowers of a million different colors and shades. It's perfectly sunny. You feel completely warm and cool at the same time. You feel safe and you feel at ease. You feel as if you're here, not even sure why you're here, but you feel like you're meant to be here now. You settle into here. You notice everything you're feeling. But as you notice a feeling, it's almost as if you're observing the feeling and letting it pass through you. You could even name a feeling if it comes up. and watch it. Watch how your body reacts to it. Allow yourself to feel whatever is here. From this place of presence and peace, and maybe even a little bit of joy, you notice from the place you are now a path. And the path looks like it's leading into the forest. And for some reason, you just know that you are meant to walk this path. And so you begin to rise to a standing position in your mind and start to walk this path. And as you walk this path, you feel a sense of lightness. It's almost as if in like a movie, you're walking this path, but it feels so easy, like you're almost floating. You're walking this path that leads into the forest. And before you step into the forest, you hesitate for a moment, but you then feel in your heart that you're meant to take this path. So you begin walking into the forest. The sunlight is beaming down through the tall green trees, and it's perfectly cool and warm in the forest. You feel safe. You're not sure why, but you feel totally safe and at ease. You continue walking down this path with that lightness, sense of ease, sense of purpose. And the path begins to meander a bit. You notice ferns and little trillium flowers, dappled sunlight, sounds of birds. You notice the path is starting to become brighter, more sunlight. The path is leading you into a bit of a clearing. And as you come to this clearing, you see this huge rock, like a boulder, that seems to have been carved into the perfect shape for a reclined chair that perfectly shapes to your body. And you can't help but want to ease and mold your body back into that rock and sit with the support of it. And it feels really perfectly cool and warm again and supportive. You feel supported and rooted and grounded by this rock and the earth. And as you notice, this rock seems to be positioned to gaze up a stream. It's right next to a stream. And you settle in, you feel supported, you start to notice the stream flowing towards you. And as you become mesmerized by the water, something amazing happens. You begin to notice that every time you have a thought or a feeling, a leaf passes by in the water. And whenever your mind feels sort of just empty or blank or open, the water is running clear. There are no leaves. You continue to watch the water, noticing every leaf that comes by and watching it pass. And when there is not a leaf, you look upstream and sort of just patiently allow yourself to be in presence, waiting for the next thought or feeling to come by. With curiosity and wonder, what will my mind think of next? What will my whole self feel next? As you gaze upstream, I'd like to share a poem with you by Hafiz. It's called All the Hemispheres. Leave the familiar for a while. Let your senses and bodies stretch out. Like a welcomed season onto the meadows and shores and hills. Open up to the roof. Make a new watermark on your excitement and love. Like a blooming night flower, bestow your vital fragrance of happiness and giving upon our intimate assembly. Change rooms in your mind for a day. All the hemispheres in existence lie beside an equator in your heart. Greet yourself in your thousand other forms as you mount the hidden tide and travel back home. All the hemispheres in heaven are sitting around a fire chatting. while stitching themselves together into the great circle inside of you. Allow yourself to rest here. To feel yourself relaxed and present. If thoughts come, if feelings come, welcome them. Allow them to come. And then allow them to go. Like a leaf on a stream, well come, well go. Whenever in relaxation or meditation you find bliss, you find peace, linger here. These moments of awe are so good for our body, minds, and hearts. And then there may be a moment, a spark of inspiration that tells you that this time by the stream is feeling complete. And in our mind's eye, we begin to rise from this beautiful natural support. Looking back toward the path we came. We walk from the stream back into the forest. Maybe as you have arisen, you take a little stretch in your body. Always honoring your body and its comfort. And then we begin to walk back into the forest. Feeling a deep sense of peace and presence. As we walk through the trees on this path that's carpeted with pine needles, ferns, trillium flowers, birds singing, dappled sunlight, we begin to see the opening in the forest that leads us back to the mountain meadow. Flowers gently moving in the breeze. Mount Hood is this fabulous backdrop. We slowly, lightly, easily journey back to where we began, the middle of this meadow. Feeling a sense of wholeness, completeness. If you're lying on your back or lying down, maybe start to make some small movements in your body, your fingers or toes. Perhaps roll onto one side into a curled position, feeling cozy. And please take your time, but eventually find your way to a seat. Take a minute or two. Take lots of time. Linger where you feel relaxed. As you begin to journey back to a seat, taking your time, I'd like to read to you one more poem from Hafiz that I think is really beautiful. It's called In a Treehouse. Light will someday split you open, even if your life is now a cage. For a divine seed, the crown of destiny is hidden and sown on an ancient fertile plain you hold the title to. Love will surely bust you wide open into an unfettered, blooming new galaxy. Even if your mind is now a spoiled mule, a life-giving radiance will come. The friend's gratuity will come. Oh, look again within yourself, for I know you were once the elegant host to all the marvels in creation. From a sacred crevice in your body, a bow rises each night and shoots your soul into love. Behold the beautiful singing one from the lunar vantage point of love. She is conducting the affairs of the whole universe while throwing wild parties in a treehouse on a limb in your heart. As we return to a seat, I'm going to come back to those 4 techniques: root, rise, soften, and breathe. Remember that anytime, anywhere you can, whenever you feel anxious, stressed, uncertain, afraid, you can come back to these 4 techniques. If you're standing, you can root your feet. If you're seated, you can root your sitting bones. If you're lying, you can feel the whole back of your body rooted to the earth, embraced by Earth's gravity. You feel a sense of rising from the pelvic floor to the top of the head, the root to the crown. Feeling that empowered sense as you rise. We soften tension consciously. This really is so effective and helpful to notice where you feel tension. And even if you don't notice where you feel tension, just giving yourself a universal permission to release tension in your body. And then to breathe while focusing on your exhale. Root, rise, soften, and breathe. You can, of course, stay here in a place of relaxation as long as you like. If this feels complete for you, when this feels complete for you, you can bring your hands together at your heart, or even just bring one hand at your heart. So when we bring hands together at the heart, this is a yoga technique called Anjali Mudra, but it's also, of course, the hand prayer position that many traditions and cultures embrace. This is a representative of reverence, of honor and respect. When we bring our hands to our heart, same thing, right? Honor, respect, and love for ourselves and each other. And this is how I close my practices, here or here. So I hope that was helpful for you all, and I'm open to any questions anybody has. I'm going to unmute anybody who wants to be unmuted.
Okay, I just opened up the chat as well, in case anybody has any questions. I had one thing that came to mind just earlier when you were talking about cancer and yoga and the lymph system, because I get a lot of, I just follow some Facebook groups and there's a lot of young women on there, and lymph for me has been probably the most difficult and like side effect, that I've struggled with now, just being 4 years into it. And it's just, I wonder, I mean, actually through this, I thought, oh man, I hope this is clearing up the lymph system and that good belly breathing. But I was wondering if maybe you could offer some suggestions or tips on the lymph system and yoga and or meditation.
Yeah. So as you all are probably well aware of, lymphedema can be a side effect. And we want to think about the lymph system is the kind of the central parking lot of the lymph system is the torso and the trunk. And especially if you've had lymph nodes removed or radiated, you are more prone to lymphedema. And so with that, it's really important that we don't over exercise, but it's also important that we don't under exercise, because the lymph is moved by, the lymph circulates through movement. So if muscles aren't moving, we're going to potentially have worse lymphedema than so we got to find that balance of gentle movement. Yoga is
Right.
really good for that. And yoga is really good for that if it's not, too hot or too powerful. That's kind of important to understand too. Gentle yoga, hatha flow vinyasa, some things like that are really good. Um, and when I have someone who is healing through cancer in my classes, I will tend to do a practice kind of starting on the back, because I think it's a really good supportive way to start, and kind of moving through the limbs through some different movements in order to move the spine in all of its directions. I might do some flowing bridges or some windshield wipers with the legs, bring the arms and legs up in the air and move them, rolling the ankles, moving the throat, all just moving the body gently through all of its natural ranges of motion. It's one of the best preventative things you can do.
Okay.
I actually, now that you're saying this, I'm like, oh, I've been meaning to do a video for upper body and lower body, and for like just a 5 or 10 minute practice to help to prevent lymphedema. And it's kind of a good practice that you can use to warm up for any activity too, to warm up and cool down from any activity.
Mm,
Because
mm,
you want to get that circulation going. If you're moving into something that's more intense, you haven't allowed some lymph to move, that could be problematic. So think about, if you're not sure, and again, I'll let you know when I get those videos done, because it's been on my to-do list for a while.
And remind people where they can find you as well, or find those videos. That would be great.
So mostly you can connect with me through flowhoodriver.com, or I'm also on Facebook as Stephanie Adams Ruff. If you do Facebook, Instagram, Steph Flow Yoga. And the organization that I wrote the Cancer and Yoga book through is Cancer Exercise Training Institute.
Okay.
And so that's the organization that I'll be doing the videos through, but I'll also have them available probably on my Facebook page, or not my Facebook page, but I have a YouTube channel. Actually, the YouTube channel might be a good resource, because we have a lot of like 1 minute movement series that are really short, and a lot of them that are on the back or seated would be good for getting the body moving without having to do this huge workout. And the name of that YouTube channel is Jaya, Jaya Yoga Tribe. Yeah, Jaya Yoga Tribe. And there's some meditations on there. There's a gentle flow on there that would be really good for people.
Awesome.
Free free resources that you can go to for movement. And then
Awesome.
I'll probably post as long as Cancer Exercise Training Institute lets me, I'll probably post the lymphedema videos on there too. So
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, that would be great. Awesome. Thanks, Stephanie. That's great.
yeah.
And this one, just for everyone, will be posted on our YouTube channel. And then we will get Stephanie's information listed as a resource on our resource page as well, so that you can find her YouTube channel and find those additional resources, because that's a really fantastic thing. Thank you so much for touching base on that.
Yeah, and if I know this is working everybody's schedule, but I do lead a gentle flow class on Tuesdays and Thursdays in Hood River at 10:30 a.m. at Flow on May Street. And the reason I mentioned that class in particular is that class is, I think, really good for when you are currently healing with cancer. And I also know how important it is for hygiene during that time. So I think it's really important. I think one of the good things coming of COVID is that we are going to be creating more sanitary environments for people. I mean, I know we are disinfecting our studio twice daily. We're having people bring their own props, and a lot of the things that were actually very concerning when I was writing the Cancer and Yoga book was how we weren't up to sanitary enough, I think, for people who are currently needing more of that. So I think that's a really good thing, actually, that's going to be coming out of this for people who are surviving and healing with cancer.
Yeah, that's interesting because I've never felt actually healthier than right now because my daughter's not going to school and bringing home things, and I've controlled my own environment so much more now that it's like less colds, less flu, like all of it, and so that's been really interesting, and I think it's a big eye opener for a lot of people.
Thank you for bringing that up. One more thing, I forgot to mention this. Those 10:30 Tuesday, Thursday classes are live streamed too. So if you don't even want to come to the studio, you can do them like this, or you also can pre-register for that class and it's recorded and you can take it any time that works for your schedule. So that class I start with almost every time the whole parking lot lymph movement series that I teach. So that's a good resource too. And it's very restorative. At the end, we do an extended meditation. So anyway, I'm not trying to promote myself too much. I just know that these are classes that really do fit well with what you're all supporting. So.
And Stephanie, our goal is really to honestly get resources to cancer patients wherever they are. So our whole, we used to be able to offer inline yoga classes and people would sponsor cancer patients to take classes, and because we fully believe in it and endorse it and want people to take an overall approach to their health and wellness. And so even though we can't all be together necessarily, we actually are reaching people all across the country and all across Canada and the UK. So in that sense, your reach is greater when you can get to the people that you're trying to get to. And you hope that people don't always live in a place where yoga is practiced, or there's a lot of studios, or even that they have the resources. They might live out in the middle of nowhere. So no, feel free. And we're so grateful to Flow for sponsoring so many of the yoga practices for this weekend. That's really awesome. So we'll make sure you get up there on our resource page, and any of those that you want to promote, we'll have those on our page for all of our sponsors. So feel free to do that, because it's just another resource we can't necessarily provide ourselves all the time. So
Great.
Any other questions for Stephanie? Or well, yeah, I'm like almost fell asleep. I think this would be a perfect one to do at bedtime too. This was a perfect
I can't wait to do this one
practice
again.
to take right before bed. So
I'm very excited for that. I do want to remind everyone, we do actually have Crystal Borup doing a meditation, a pranayama meditations. Pranayama? Is that how you say it? Pranayama meditation session to close out our weekend. So we're excited about that at 11:45. And coming up next is Beth Castrol, who's doing a farro oatmeal with turmeric apples. So I'm very excited about that cooking class. So please feel free to join us there. Stephanie, thank you so much for joining us today. I can't wait to get this posted and share it with some of the people that weren't able to attend. We're very grateful for you to add this content to our weekend. So it was fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much for inviting me. Have a beautiful rest of your day.
Thank you so much.